Definitely one of the highlights when I got to go to Electrify Expo earlier this year was the P-51. And I got to try out the Bullet. Now, what makes the Bullet kind of unique e-bike, and I think what really kind of sets P-51 apart from some of the other competition, honestly, has to do with their suspension system. It's not to say that other e-bikes, like performance bikes, don't have a good suspension system, but they're one of the few that I feel like has that balance between a really good suspension system, but also being street legal. Ghost Cat, I think, which is probably one of their higher competitors in terms of performance bike, fat tire, that sort of thing. The problem with a Ghost Cat is Ghost Cats are not street legal. They go too fast, especially with the new iteration that just came out. They're really meant for that performance lifestyle, like what they're showing here in the video. Like you're out in some mountain range in the middle of nowhere. If you're like me or most people, I'll say, who live in suburbia, this probably wouldn't work for you. So the fact that P-51 has that kind of nice balance, I think, is what puts them in a very, very unique position. I love their seat design. I love everything about it. I got to ride one, and if I had infinite time and money, I would probably buy a P-51, honestly. And they've had this model for a while, but what they announced yesterday and what I want to talk about was the Ace. So the Ace is their new iteration of their bike. It is expensive, and that's, I think, want to be a big driving point for a lot of people is, do you really want to spend $4,000 on a bicycle? Not to say that this isn't an investment that you're probably going to keep for many, 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 many years. However, it's a lot of money, and I get it. And I think that's what makes the fleet of bikes that I have, basically the cheap knockoff brands that you get on Amazon or at Walmart. You're not going to get this, obviously, but this is so different than anything else you've ridden on. But I think a lot of people may not totally understand either, the performance. And I think you almost have to start with kind of a cheap bike, start to see the things that you like and don't like. The fact that you got to beat the rotor with a hammer because it rubs against the brakes. The fact that certain things aren't adjustable. The fact that it squeaks. The fact that it doesn't have the kind of performance you want. The fact that the suspension isn't as great. And I think you kind of start making a list in your head, at least I have, of things like, man, I really like a bike that did this instead. So I think just jumping right into this, you wouldn't appreciate what you had. It'd be like your very first car being a Lamborghini. You got to kind of have like the old beater car, right? To figure out like, man, I really wish I had a car that had a nice sound system. I really wish I had a car that had more acceleration before you kind of like work your way up. So P-51 Ace is basically a kind of rehash of their previous model. But the big thing is that a couple things. They did some seat modifications to it, and they changed the frame size. So it's lighter and it's leaner because of that. It's an aluminum frame that's going to be a little over 10 pounds less than the Bullet, which is the bike that I just showed you. And they added in their long seat, which I really, really like. So if you see where the seat is here, let's see if we can get a side view. Do you see how long the seat is here? Basically, the seat goes, I'd say halfway, forward facing, almost, flush with the center pedal all the way to the back. That's a pretty long seat. And just to compare really quickly, if we go back to the Bullet, I want you to see this. Look at the seat there. So this obviously is not a seat. This is your battery, right? So you're not going to be able to sit on that. But the Ace is kind of designed for multiple people. They talk about that actually in their product stuff too as well. So because of that long seat, you're going to be able to, you could go tandem on this. You really could. I mean, you probably want to get pegs for sure, but you could. But more than that, it's going to let you wiggle back and forth. You can choke up on the seat a little bit or lean back, which I really, really like that concept. And because of kind of how the battery is and how the screen is kind of integrated into this center piece here, right? Why can I not blow up these pictures again? Because it's kind of integrated into that center piece, right? It's got a sleeker look. They basically put the battery down here now, which is kind of nice. So it's not sitting on the center frame like it was. And I think that brings the weight distribution a little more even as well. I love this bike. It's beautiful. It's just very, very, very expensive. So very similar look. Obviously, they just kind of recalibrated the seat a little bit and they moved the battery in a different place. But it comes with some new performance things as well. One of the things that it advertises, which I'm really curious about, and I'm unfortunately not like a P-51 partner, so I'm just going to have to live vicariously with everyone else, is I'll have to wait and see. They've changed how the battery works. They're using a slightly different battery, and because of the weight, they're saying it can get 40 plus miles on throttle only, which is insane. So to put it in perspective, most of the bikes I have, 15 to 25 mile an hour range. And honestly, like that's plenty. Like when I went out just, I'm recording this Sunday night. I went out Friday. I went out through downtown. I was gone a little over 3 hours on my electric scooter, the seated one. Full throttle, 100% of the time, don't even have pedals, uphill, downhill, left, right, stop, go, turn it on, turn it off, had the lights on, the whole thing, right? When I got home after 3 hours, it was pretty much on fumes, but that's probably the length of like a commute that I would do. 40 plus miles would basically be like triple that. I'm still of the school that you basically charge your battery completely when you're not using it. I know a lot of people say, oh, you're supposed to flex the battery, go up, down, whatever. I don't do that. For me, I completely charge it. So I don't know how much that matters, but if you're into commuting or if you're going to be out and about, that is a really, really potential big draw for people, I think. And then the other thing is, again, they're kind of world-class front and rear suspension, which has insane amount of travel. The idea is that you're basically like your butt's not moving. The bike's going to bounce up and down all over the place. I don't know if it shows it really here in the video, but the way that suspension works is you are going to just be you're going to be sitting on cloud nine. And I love the fat seat that it slides back and forth. You have a lot of room to play with. You're going to be able to get very comfortable, lean forward, lean back, whatever. I think that's really, really, really cool. So I don't think it's out quite yet. They're doing pre-orders now. I guess they're going to start rolling out very, very soon. Unfortunately, unless you live in California, where they're headquartered out of, here's the dealers. You're kind of SOL. You're going to have to basically buy it, pay a crap ton of money, and hope that it's something you want. You know what I mean? That's what makes it hard being a big e-bike person here in Orlando. This scene is massive. I've just gotten into it myself, and I am constantly making new friends everywhere I go. I cannot tell you all the bike trails through here how many people have e-bikes that are really getting into them. It has really blown up. A couple of my friends who didn't even really like know the scene really got into it with me, which is awesome. So, there's a lot of us who are really enjoying it. But unfortunately, unless you live kind of over on that side of the world, you're just going to have to try, and hope that maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody around you gets one, you could get your hands on one. For me, the only experience I've had with it so far was when I got to go to Electrify Expo. I cannot wait for that to come back again next year. Hopefully they'll have the Ace there so I could try it out. So my review will be way later than everybody else's, especially since these things are probably out in the wild now. And some of the more famous e-bike review channels probably are getting content on that now. I don't have that quite yet. Maybe one day I'll get a foothold into that scene, but I wanted to do a video on this because I am doing the e-bike playlist, and it is something that I think this is a pretty big deal. I think we will start to see bikes try to reduce the amount of weight with better frame materials rather than just throw more horsepower at it, especially with the 750 watt hard limit to make it street legal. I think a lot of these performance companies realize that people who are going to be getting into like crazy e-bike stuff, who want that extreme off-road performance, are probably just going to be looking at e-motorcycles. So I think the era of getting an e-bike that does like 90 miles an hour, that does burnouts, all that kind of stuff, I think those days are starting to fade away. I think that this is probably going to start to take more dominance in the force, in the sales, right? I think it's going to be more of a force in kind of the market of lighter bikes that still have that same rugged feel to them with lighter materials that make them more transportable. Obviously, lighter material with the same engine will naturally increase performance. In this case, the performance will be battery life. So I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be a big deal going forward. But I just wanted to give my 10-minute sales pitch. If you're interested in the market, man, you get one of these, I am jealous as hell because I really want one. That'll wrap up today's video. Back to video game stuff again on Tuesday. But this is a pretty big announcement over the weekend. Definitely got the community blazing. So I wanted to just chat about it. All right. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.